What's up, guys? Welcome back again to our podcast. Thanks for still viewing. Those who've just discovered us, there's a lot more. Please go check the others out, or just go like our Instagram and Facebook. We have a few short reels there about the podcast as well that you might find intriguing. So today we're going to talk to Barry from the Oaks Collective. Barry, thanks for joining us. Excited to have you here today. So we're going to chat a bit about growing your business, how to source clients, and managing cash flow. So what they also do is they have a huge production team that they do videos, mainly focusing on businesses, not for private events. So they do a lot of animation, like I said, a huge production. They have their own in-house studio that they also use. So yeah, Barry, welcome with us.
Thanks for having me, guys. It's a privilege, and looking forward to the conversation. We've always had good conversations when we've gotten together, so I think this is a good natural outflow of that.
Most probably, definitely. I think not probably, definitely. So Barry, to get started off with Oaks Studios, with Oaks Collective, what was the journey from the starting point, when it was just, call it a very small company, and to the growth that you are now? What was that the process in a nutshell? What was the journey like?
Everybody kind of starts out like a little family. You get together with some friends, your business is around somebody's coffee table or at the dinner table. You edit in the garage or whatever. I think most people start out there, and it's a little family, and a lot of people love that and love that culture. And there are a lot of great advantages to being that small startup company. I mean, you're very agile. Somebody can phone you in the middle of the night and can you quickly have this ready by morning, and you say yes for everything because that's where you're at. Every cent really counts. Every new client is a miracle. Everything gets celebrated. It's a wonderful phase to be in. Everybody that was part of the very start kind of at some point was part of a different, let's call it a movement. It wasn't really a company where we focused a lot around training and empowering people, and we all have these grandiose dreams of changing the world, and for us, we moved from that company to a media company, partially because we saw the value that media can add to that content. Stuff like shelf life. You can train maybe 100 people a year, one-on-one, spend time with you. It's really quality investment in people's lives. But your hands get tied there. Numbers are a big issue, for instance. So we got to the place where we said, if we want to scale beyond this, we have to sacrifice some things in order to gain stuff like shelf life. Where this talk that we're having now, 10 years from now, it's still going to be out there somewhere. If you're watching this in 10 years from now, please don't use any of our technical references. It's gonna put you behind. But there are lots of positives and stuff that you can do through that movement, that pivot. But we had to move from being artists to being business people, which is a very scary thing for me because I love creating stuff. I love thinking about there was nothing and now there's something. The idea of coming up with a concept, giving it flesh, finding ways to make that happen, that really makes me tick. The idea of writing an invoice frightens the
living shit out of you.
Yes, absolutely. So we had to start thinking, okay, now we're a business. We need to start thinking like a business. We need to start acting like a business, even though we were still the small family unit. But we had to think, suddenly you can't just do certain things financially that a more familial group of people can do. We have to now think of how are we going to use this money, because in 2 months' time we need to build in a buffer for when we need to replace equipment, for instance, stuff like that. So we needed to pivot to thinking like a business. A book that helped me a lot, I don't know if you guys are into reading, is Ed Catmull's book, Creativity Inc. Ed Catmull's the guy that started Pixar. And his journey from like working, and they're all artists and they're all guys that are very much into technology, and they literally developed the software on the one hand. On the other hand, they wanted to make the most beautiful pictures they could. And they kept like going through these cycles where they find themselves putting so much time into the artistry of what they're doing that it's not commercially viable. And all of us that conceptualize things, we have this picture in mind, and the picture is hardly ever really realistic, because we see these beautiful shots with jibs flying in and cars exploding and the hero riding off into the sunset on the back of a horse. But the budget allows for somebody to walk into a shot, say a few words, and walk out. And so we're constantly fighting this tension of what we want to create and what we can actually create. We're always like battling to try and get those $1 million shots on the 100 Rand budgets. And that book really just helped me a lot with very practical guidelines of where do you draw the line? Because ultimately, we need to be profitable. Ultimately, we're not going to create anything in a business environment if we're not making money. Our background all kind of says, money is evil. Money is the root of all evil. That's a terrible misquote of the Bible, by the way. The love of money is the root of all evil. Money is the root of all meals. And as you can see, I enjoy eating. So you have to find a way to work that balance. And that was a big challenge for us. And you have to start making business decisions, because you're now moving from a family to a business.
I think that's where you need to take the emotion out of it. Because if you get too emotionally attached, especially when running the business, not specifically to the business, but to the people, unfortunately, I think sooner or later it's going to bite you. So you need to be able to manage that correctly.
The word you're using there, manage, I think is the key. Andy Stanley has a leadership podcast that I find extremely valuable. And one of the things that we keep quoting from that is you have to find out certain things are a problem to solve, other things are a tension to manage. We don't ever want to be an emotionless company. We're not going to be that cold corporate. We are going to take into account that this person has a life outside of work.
I just think you need to be firm about it. So there's a place for each and everything.
Yes. Like, I know you have a family at home, but for this company, for the good of the many, you now have to make certain decisions. We've had to let people go. That's not easy, because we've invited them into our family. We've tried to take care of them like family, but for the bigger good, you're now not part of the family anymore. So it hurts even more.
How did you manage the growth? Meaning, how did you source clients?
We managed that badly as well. So we were fortunate starting out that we had large groups of friends and networks and people that are business people that we've built relationships with over many, many years. That when we said, listen, we're going to start this company now. If there's any way we can help, please let us know. That could get us started.
So you basically used your existing network reaching out to friends or people that you knew in the industry?
From that, we were able to just like get the ball rolling, and at that point you're very much but can you do this? And the answer is yes. Well,
YouTube it later, but we can do it.
yeah, no, of course we've done it.
I'll jump off a cliff and build a plane on the way down.
Yeah, and that's fantastic. The excitement of that, those starting out, learning to use software and things we've never seen before, and the next day, voila, we now do virtual sets. But we've had to also, as we had to pivot away from just us around the table with our network of people, we've also had to pivot to finding clients that are not just our inner circle.
Yes, that's what I wanted to ask is, how do you get new clients without your current network or word of mouth? Do you have advertising that you do?
The most important thing you can do is make sure that those clients that you have are happy. You're giving them good value for money, but because a lot of them are then also connected. They are maybe suppliers to a larger company. They are people that get in contact with CEOs and people that can bring in other work. So the majority of our work comes in through word of mouth from existing clients. And then when we work with other companies, like we loved working with you guys when we did the Miss Globe thing, just because we immediately could see these guys have pretty much the same values as we have. Production value is fantastic. You guys are putting in the extra effort, the extra time. You weren't there on set looking like a bunch of techies that shouldn't be let out. Yeah, those things mean so much because apart from our existing clients, a lot of our work comes through other companies that we work with. We work with other media companies that does not have the capabilities that we have, and sometimes we go like, of course we'll wear your T-shirt when we do this job, or because again we're a collective, and together we can do more than we can do it, and that's true for individuals, and that's true for companies.
I think that's one thing. Companies think, no, they don't want to outsource because they're scared that person they're outsourcing to is going to steal their business. I think at the end of the day, if we all just work together, there's enough for everyone out there. There's more than enough for everyone. So if we work together, we can all just help each other a lot more than just trying to, no, it's my business, you stay out of my business. I think that's a much better way.
Yeah. And finding those people are really important. A good example would be, there's a company here in Midrand, Multimedia. They do the most incredible live events. They've got like LEDs, screens and stuff, and they're really good at that. But they do content, but not at the scale that their equipment is capable of. And they've kind of grown to that place where many of our meetings, we're sitting with them, they're sitting with us, because we've just seen that their capabilities plus our capabilities is beyond what, I'm going to go out on a limb, anybody in this country can deliver. When we put that together. When we say, well, we can make these things, most companies don't have a use for it. Multimedia has daily use for it. So let's take hands. They can go, like, we can get all the capabilities you have, but why? So between us and them, we've been able to pitch to clients that we couldn't deliver an optimal product to, and they couldn't deliver optimal product to. This is not the right answer. The right answer is do a lot of marketing, do a lot of market research, but nothing beats this. Have a lot of coffee with people that care about the things that you care about, and they'll know people that care about the things as well, because that's kind of how we connect, and that's how we're eventually going to change the world. Because us and you guys, and bring multimedia on board, bring a bunch of other companies like this on board, we're going to really make an impact, much larger impact than we can make and you guys can make. And
You said you were focused on creating beautiful looking images, and you have that artsy side on in your favor. When you invoice a client and the scope is only this big, do you sometimes go above and beyond the scope because you want to add that extra element? You look at the video and you're like, oh, I just want to add that because you enjoy that, so you go above and beyond for the client.
we almost always do that.
Okay.
But we have to just build in some fences, some barriers to say, listen, guys, this does need to be finished. Firstly, at some point, because like the Michelangelo quote, art's never finished; it's just eventually abandoned. That's so true. We can always spend more time and get it just a little more, just a little more. And there has to be a point where you go like, okay, but this is it. So we always over deliver, but we plan for that as well. Like we'll quote for 25 hours, knowing that we'll do 35 hours. But then there's the line in the sand. So we don't in a sense charge for going over, but we do plan for it, that we are going to say, guys, this is exactly the brief, but it's ugly. Now let's make it better. When you pay for a Toyota, it's not a Lexus. It's the same thing. It's the same company. And somehow people can very easily make that connection when it's a car. And it's also very easy when something is very concrete. Like if you do accounting, 2 and 2 is always 4. If you do something creative, there are wrong answers, but there aren't right answers. Don't stop being creative. Don't stop doing your best work, but find ways of keeping it within what makes business sense. Because that's hard for us. That's we want to make the Hollywood movie for every client, but we're gonna make the best Toyota. Until somebody comes with a Lexus budget, then we're going to make the best Lexus, but we're still not going to make a Ferrari. We can cross that line as well once we move, but we have to kind of just help ourselves to just keep it within, firstly, what's manageable, what's not going to kill the business. Yeah, it has to make business sense.
True. Before we wrap up, if you had to give one tip for someone, let's say we're starting out from scratch. If you had to get one tip for us in terms of growth in terms talking about getting a bit of cash flow and getting clients, what would that valuable tip be for even the viewers to use?
Use what you have optimally before you buy new stuff. We're all tech heads. We want to throw the numbers.
You want the latest toys, yes.
We want the latest toys. But a lot of people will speak to me and say like, so what camera should I buy? And I'm like, what phone do you have? No, don't buy a camera. Buy some lights. Use what you have optimally before you go and spend a lot of money to buy a piece of gear that you can extract 20% of its value from. Rather, and then when people ask, so what lights should I go to Buller's warehouse, get LED outdoor lights and put some wax paper from the wife's kitchen in front of it to give it a nice soft light. You can get beautiful video from that. You're not going to be, when you're at the point where you're interviewing CEOs, you're not going to be able to use your phone and those lights anymore. But to start out with, use what you have, make money with what you have, and then buy stuff with money you've made, as opposed to buying stuff and then having to work through a bunch of debt. And
because we did the same when we also started out. When we filmed real estate, we didn't have a gimbal yet. So what we did was we physically took the camera, put it on the tripod, and under the tripod was a towel. So then he would be behind me, guiding me, telling me, okay, turn left or right. I would grab the towel and then slightly put it over the tiles. So that was our way of getting a smooth motion shot. That's what we did. So it's like I said, make use of what you have. But sorry, buddy, we're out of time. Thank you very much. We appreciate the chat. I hope there's anything else you guys want to know in terms of business overall. Doesn't matter if it's marketing, networking, production for videos, what products to choose. Just let us know in the comments and we'll find anyone with value in that area and we can provide you with that. But yeah, until next time.
Thanks for being here.
thanks so much for the time. You guys didn't get a chance to say much.
We'll call this Barry's podcast for today. But all right, that's not a problem.
It's monologue.
Yeah, monologue. There we go. All right, guys. Signing off. See you next time.
Thanks so much.
Cheers, guys.
Nice.